All right. So I'm just going to get into this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. It is me, your host, Mystique, here with the July astrology forecast. And we have a dynamic month ahead of us. So, welcome to July. So, in this live stream, I'm going to be talking about Uranus and Gemini, the long awaited Uranus and Gemini. And I'm going to be talking about the retrogrades happening. We have 4 retrogrades happening, as well as the new Earth codes activating the planet. And it's all due to Uranus and Gemini. Okay. Let me just wait for a couple more people to come in, and then I'll get into it. Okay. So, we have a lot to talk about. Hello, welcome to the chat. Please like the live on your way in, and let's get into it. So, we have a lot to talk about. And one of the first things that we're talking about is this Uranus in Gemini. So, July is going to be a very dynamic month, a lot of changes, and it's all due to Uranus and Gemini. Uranus goes into Gemini tomorrow on the 7th. Okay. And Uranus will actually be in Gemini until November 7th. Okay. It'll go retrograde September 6th. So we have 2 good months with Uranus and Gemini. Okay. 2 good months of really big changes. So thank you for the like. Thank you. Thank you. So, with Uranus and Gemini, it's bringing not only major changes, but it's helping us activate to a higher level. Thank you. Welcome to the chat. We're talking about the July astrology. Like this video on your way in, and feel free to comment in the chat any of your questions. But Uranus and Gemini is going to be bringing a mass awakening. Hi, Haley. Oh, I remember you. I did a reading for you. Hey, Billy. Okay, my people are coming. Hey, y'all. I kind of already started, but welcome to the July forecast. Yes, how are you, Haley? Wow, it's been a minute. It's been like a couple years or so. I'm glad you made it to the live. So I kind of started a little bit. And also, can you guys like this live, please? What's in the sky today? Because I started drawing again. Well, I know that we're in the middle of the Sirius star portal. It activated since the 2nd and it ends tomorrow. So could be why you're feeling extra magical and powerful and creative. Thank you guys for the likes. Thank you. Thank you. So we have a lot to talk about today. So I was just getting into how Uranus and Gemini activates tomorrow. So Uranus goes into Gemini the 7th, which is tomorrow, and it'll be in Gemini until November 7th. Now, here's the thing. With Uranus in Gemini, we're going to have a good 2 months of Uranus being direct in Gemini. So between now up until September 6th, because that's when Uranus goes retrograde in Gemini, still going to have the same powerful effects, but this is our moment between now and August to really get the ball rolling and make those big changes. So I see a third person in here. Like the live, like the live. If you're coming in, say hello. We're talking about the July astrology and welcome. So we have 2 good months of dynamic change before the retrograde happens. And then after November comes, then Uranus will be going back into Taurus, which I'm sad about because Uranus and Gemini, it just feels like it's going to be such an electrifying transit and it'll wake us all up. It's like the coffee that we needed collectively, like literally. So, July and August are very important, you guys. And this is also a time where there's going to be a lot of mass awakening. So you guys remember the awakenings from 2020 and how everybody was talking about like this big shift? Yeah, that's going to be Uranus and Gemini. Like periodically we go through mass collective shifts, and Uranus and Gemini is going to be bringing that mass collective shift. So expect a lot more people around you awakening. Okay. So we're going to be stepping into some dynamic and alien frequencies. Okay. So we are ascending on a very, very high level consciously. And it's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible. How are you guys feeling? How are you guys feeling so far? We're still in the beginning of July. How are you guys feeling today? Happy Sunday. Okay. So let's continue. So, you guys, I wanted to tell you guys this tea because just like how Billy has been tuning into something, I've been tuning into a lot too. And a lot of downloads have been coming through for me where Spirit has just been giving me a lot of downloads about Earth and just the technology of this Earth. And we are going to be really tapping into more information is going to be coming through with Uranus and Gemini. Okay. So a lot of new information is going to be coming through. A lot more downloads are going to be coming through from higher realms. So this is the tea that I got. So I've been really tuning into the earth codes, okay, and the earth's technology. And a lot of people don't believe that the earth has technology. When they think of earth, they just think of it like something that's just not like super advanced. It's just kind of mundane. But actually, the earth is a very powerful place that a lot of people sleep on because we're so distracted, right? So I recently got this download about the Matrix, okay? And I know like you guys are probably like, the Matrix, like, what you mean? And it's just like, and it's not like the typical things that you hear. And I talked about this on Instagram if you follow me on Instagram. But basically, what I was talking about with the Matrix is that it's very misunderstood. Okay, and I feel like this is due to the media and especially the conscious community, how they have oversimplified what the matrix is and what that means to us, and how actually important it is to really be in tune with it, because all you hear about in the conscious community is like escape the matrix, escape the matrix, escape. And it's just like, I, in my reel that I did, I asked this question: what if the matrix isn't even bad? What if it's something that doesn't even need to be escaped, And because I feel like the conscious community, they have made the matrix out to be something that is bad, or that is something that has to do with like limitation and control and things. And it's actually really not, outside of what's going on in this society. And I'm going to go into detail. Okay. So the download that I got was, I was really studying into the word matrix and what it really means. And when you break down matrix to its root word, matter, that's the root word of matrix, it's Latin. That translates as mother, the womb, origins, okay, where things um, get birth from, where things are created, right? So if this earth is a matrix, because I'm going to get more in detail in that, this earth is a whole matrix, okay? So this earth that we live on, this is why we call it Mother Nature or Mother Earth, because we are Earth's children. Like, we are the children of this earth, okay? Our physical body comes from this, our food, our everything comes from this, okay? Everything that's physical, at least, comes from this matrix, okay? And we're living in the earth's womb. This earth that we live on is a womb, okay? Because the earth is always creating things, okay? It's always birthing things. That is the archetype of the earth. The earth is a creative being. So the issue is, this is the issue. And this is why I came to a lot of these realizations. It's not the matrix itself that's the issue. It's the people that have had control over the codes of the matrix and used it as a form of control and enslavement. That is the issue. Okay. So when the conscious community is like escape the matrix, it doesn't make sense to me, because they're just putting it all under one umbrella and they're not being specific of like what they're talking about. And I feel like what they're wanting to say is, thank you, Billy. It's a whole lot. So you guys just bear with me. Like, this download is really big for me. So it's like I'm just trying to break it down in a way that makes sense. So yes, the issue is the people that have had control over the matrix, and they've been utilizing as a way to siphon energy, control, and imprison us, really. So when the conscious community is like escape the matrix, that doesn't make any sense to me, because everything has a matrix. Every living being has a matrix. This earth has a matrix. Other planets have a matrix. You know how they've been trying to like they've been trying to set up shop in Mars, or on Mars. They've been trying to figure out how to live on Mars and things. And they've been advertising this to us, like how we should be living on Mars too. And people in the conscious community, they're kind of pushing this rhetoric of how we need to inhabitate somewhere else to escape the matrix. But it's like any planet that you go to, it has its own matrix system encoding. And especially as long as the powers that shouldn't be have access to it, it's going to be the same thing no matter where you go, especially if they're involved in it, you know? So everything has a matrix. Every living being, from the trees, the plants, the planets, you have a matrix as well. This is why you have an astrology map. This is why you have human design. This is why you have chakras. This is why you have your subconscious patterns and beliefs. That's also a matrix in and of itself, because it's creating patterns and things that make up your energy as well, that shape your energy. You have meridians, you have all types of technology within you as well. Just as the earth. The earth has chakras, the earth has portals, the earth has ley lines, you know, the earth has magnetic fields, the earth has. Oh, thank you, Haley. Thank you. I'm making sense. Like you guys, you guys are following. Thank you, thank you. But and I feel like a lot of people have got this misconstrued, like I was saying, due to the media. You know, for instance, like the Matrix movie was something that came to mind for me, and at first I thought they misconstrued it, but it's not that the movie misconstrued it. It just goes back to it was just very misunderstood. And I feel like that movie was way ahead of its time, because it was basically foreshadowing information that we were going to end up getting access to, you know? It was just basically foreshadowing the awareness that we were going to step into going into Y2K, because the Matrix movie came out in like 1999. So this was just before Y2K. And it was just basically telling us exactly about what I'm telling you now, about how the earth has these codes, these energy lines, and all these things that make up this big technology as we know it as Mother Earth. And this is why everything, when you observe nature, everything is just so divine. Everything is in natural balance and order, and that's due to its matrix system. Okay. So I say all this to say is that Uranus and Gemini is going to be opening up our minds more to that, because I feel like we have been too attached to the artificial technology, which is the computer, AI, and all of these things, when really we need to be tuning into the original technology. Hi, King. How are you? Kind of like how you told us to stay out the sun when it's the most powerful medicine. Oh, how they told it. Yes. And that's another thing with the sun I tuned into. You guys, the download that I got about the sun was that this sun that we see every day, it powers this matrix. That's why life gets sustained on this matrix. You know, this sun gives life here on earth life, essentially. And it's kind of like the sun is like the electrical system. You know how you just plug up something and it just powers up? That's like the sun, but for the earth. So that's something that I tuned into. But yeah, the sun is very healthy for us, you know. The sun got has codes too. The sun has a matrix too. This is why you should go out and get some sun, so you can activate your codes with the sun's codes. Because when you think about it, the sun's codes are constantly changing at least every month. This is why we go from sign to sign every month. There's always new codes being downloaded within us every month just by the sun alone. You know what I'm saying? There's always codes being activated with even in the moon cycles every 2.5 days. Okay, everything has a matrix. So they're trying to demonize the matrix like it's bad, but no, the matrix is mother. The matrix is mother. Okay? It's not bad. And they just got it all twisted. And the point of us being in tune with the matrix is to learn how to move through it consciously. It's not about escapism. Because I feel like there has been too much of this rhetoric with the spiritual community about escapism. And something else that I've noticed online too that I'm really tired of hearing is, or just seeing a lot of like posts about this, is like nostalgia about past eras. And it's just like, this is the problem. Like, we've been in this space where we want to escape this because of just everything that's happened. And don't get me wrong, the things that are going on now and that have happened, it's valid, it's real. But I feel like we need to ground down and focus on the now. You know, I feel like there's too much talk about 90s nostalgia, 80s, 70s. And don't get me wrong, those eras were amazing, beautiful. You know, I'm happy that I was born in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s and, you know, I got to see it all unfold myself being a millennial. But we need to focus on how can we make this our best era? You know what I'm saying? For the generations to come. So when the generations look back on this time, they're going to be like, you know, that era was pretty cool. But how can we do that if we're always just tuning into past eras and we're not doing what we can now to create something great now? You know what I'm saying? Like, this Uranus and Gemini is really going to help us get back in our creativity and our inspiration, where we could create the new fashion, the new music, and all of that stuff that is just as super cool as it was in the 90s or the 80s or whatever the case may be. But this over attachment to the past is not allowing us to really truly make those changes and really just open ourselves to the new. So Uranus in Gemini is going to be awakening the collective conscious. Really, you said nostalgia is a way of telling us it was perfect back then when it really wasn't. Stuff that's happening now was happening back then. We're cherry picking the good moments of the past. I do agree. I do agree. I agree. You know, every era had its thing, you know, every era, like, you know, the 60s and the 70s with the hippie movement and the feminist movement and all these things. And, you know, 9/11 and all these things in the 90s. And, or, well, no, 9/11 was 2001, excuse me. But you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, Billy, you're very much so right. Every era had its things. So what are you guys thinking so far? Like, you know, I have more to tell you guys, but I just want to make sure you guys are following and just what you thinking about, like, the earth technology and all of that stuff and certain rhetoric that have gone on in the spiritual community and things of that nature. Because I feel like the conscious community has spread a lot of misinformation, especially about the matrix. And something just within me activated, like, you know, I disagree with this idea of like escaping it. You can't escape it. In order to really escape the matrix, you would literally have to not be living anymore. That's the only way. And then basically you're going back to being like a spiritual being with no body. That's pretty much it. So unless you want to leave this earth and leave the land of the living, I mean, that's the only way you're going to really escape the matrix. So you see how that doesn't make sense, because no matter where you go, no matter where you turn, you're interacting with some sort of matrix system, right? Even within yourself. You know what I'm saying? That matrix system is still there. So Billy, you said you're right though. They want us to keep looking at the past and never look towards the future, which is funny because the past was very obsessed about the future. Right? Especially like in the late 90s, everybody was ready for this moment in time, right? You said I don't really follow a lot of spiritual teachers anymore. I'm trying to find the teacher within. It is. All the answers are within you. All the answers are within you about yourself, and all the answers are within you about nature. Okay, especially when you plug back in to it, the downloads just start coming. And this is why, even with me coming on here sharing this information with you guys, I always encourage you guys to do your research. You could look up new earth codes, you could look up all these things. Like, I just did a lot of research and I just got a lot of downloads, and all the pieces just started being put together. Like, oh, okay, this is what I think. But I always encourage you guys to do your research, even on the things that I say. Okay. So with this with this Uranus and Gemini, we're going to be doing a lot of grid work. Okay? Have you guys heard of the word grid work? Like the term grid work, right? Being a grid worker is basically actively working with the Earth's system, okay? And being a grid worker is basically when you're in tune with your higher purpose and you're in tune with what's going on here on earth, and you're applying yourself, your gifts, okay, as a way to give back to the earth, as a way to help activate the consciousness of the earth, heal the earth, right? Create and allow the universe and the earth to work through you. That is being a grid worker, okay? And Gemini, the Gemini Sagittarius axis, these two signs are the original grid workers. Why? Because Gemini and Sag, they travel, right? They're travelers, okay? This is why I do foresee with Uranus and Gemini, more people are going to travel and move around. We need to move our energy around, which brings me into my next point. So, here's something very interesting about this transit. Uranus and Gemini is actually going to be transiting the United States sixth house. So the sixth house in astrology has to do with lifestyle, routine, health, healing, all of that stuff, right? So I do foresee with Uranus and Gemini. Give me just a second. I do foresee with Uranus and Gemini a lot more people quitting their jobs. So you guys were hearing about the great resignation like a couple years back. There's going to be another mass quitting, okay? There's going to be another mass quitting where a lot of people are going to explore different jobs, whether that be gig work, freelancing, entrepreneurship. That's all the realm of Gemini, okay? Gemini is a very movable energy. So oftentimes Geminis, they'll do jobs that allow them to travel and move around. Okay. So we're going to be getting into that as well. We're going to be exploring new lifestyles. So I see more digital nomads and things of that nature coming about with this Uranus and Gemini, to where it's going to be very liberating for us, because really we're not supposed to be living like that, where we're just doing the same thing every day. We're not supposed to be doing that. That goes against our nature as spiritual beings. That goes against our nature as spiritual beings, and that goes against Earth's nature, okay? Because when you look at nature, nature is not doing the same thing every day. Even the trees aren't doing the same thing every day. Even though they look like they're doing the same thing every day, they're not doing the same thing every day. Earth is a very creative place, okay? Uranus and Gemini is going to have us tapping back into our creativity. Creativity is about flexibility, movability, change, okay? We're not meant to be in this robotic routine like that. Okay? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. We're actually supposed to be moving like our ancestors. When you think about our ancestors didn't stay in one place for a very long time. They would pull up somewhere for a month or so, and then they're getting the horses and they're going on to the next thing. Like, that is how we're supposed to be living. Why? Because we're supposed to be grid working. We can't grid work if we're stuck at a 9 to 5 job. Okay? Because the 9 to 5 job, that is how it's set up. So your energy doesn't move around. Okay? So you can't be activating like that. You can't be moving around and giving your energy in places that are needed on this earth, because you're stuck doing this thing every day. The 9 to 5 is a form of energy siphoning, anyways. They're just siphoning your energy for that thing, this entity that they created, instead of it going towards healing the earth, activating the earth, right? Activating each other. We are supposed to be activating each other as well, sharing knowledge, sharing energy. Billy said, "Don't get me started on the healthcare system after that big, beautiful bill, Lord." It just doesn't make sense. And I do see that actually, since there are issues with the healthcare system and it's just a whole sham, people are going to be exploring more holistic healing, okay, as a form of wellness. Okay. If you haven't gotten into it already, or maybe people around you haven't gotten into that, you're going to see that they're going to be more interested in alternative ways of healing. You're studying holistic healing. That's beautiful. What are you studying, Haley? And then you also said, "I changed jobs last year from a full-time career to a part-time local work, and it's the biggest relief for my body." I can only imagine. Yeah, we're not supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to be working full time, overtime plus. That doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, we're not supposed to be doing jobs that go against our innate abilities. None of these jobs really support what it is that we want to do. The majority of them. You know what I'm saying? Because this is why there's something called an earth sign. And I would recommend that you guys study into your earth sign, because your earth sign is just as important as your sun sign and all the other indicators of your life purpose. I feel like the earth sign is like another part of your life's purpose. And basically, your earth sign shows your mission here on earth, and it shows the archetype, the kind of grid worker you are. Okay. And your earth sign is basically opposite, the sign opposite of your sun sign. So, for instance, if you're an Aries, and yeah, so if you're an Aries, then that means your earth sign is Libra. So, Libra is a sign of balance. It brings harmony, peace, right? So, it makes me think like Libra earth signs, they're meant to bring peace, balance, and justice to this earth, right? So, when people say like, you shouldn't enact justice, that's a lie, because there are grid workers where that is their purpose, to bring balance and justice to this earth. So everybody has a job here, and it goes back to like we all have a purpose here. So, you know, if you think that you don't have a special gift or you don't have a purpose, because there, believe it or not, there are some people that they don't feel like they're gifted in some sort of way, because they only limit it to, if you can sing, if you can dance, that means that you're gifted. You could be gifted in many other ways. You could be gifted in many other ways. You know, dancing and singing is not the only gift, right? You could have the gift of intuition, the gift of discernment, the gift of healing. You could be a healer. You could, there's so many things, and I encourage you to really look into your earth sign, because this will help you start doing the work that you're actually supposed to do here. Us tapping into our earth sign is going to help us to start doing the work that we're actually supposed to be doing here. And Haley, you said you're studying Meridian Yoga Therapy. Beautiful. Beautiful. What's your sign, Haley? It's been a while since I looked at your chart, because that was like years ago, but what's your sign? So yeah, you guys, like, it's just a whole lot. Um, Billy said, and see, they only see those gifts in a capitalist way, sadly. If they can't make money off of it, they don't see it as a gift. And this is where we need to remove ourselves, because it goes well beyond monetary gain, your gifts. It goes well beyond that. This is my thing. This society is a reflection of somebody else's dream. Whoever came up with this society, or whoever group of people, this is a reflection of their own consciousness. We're living in somebody else's imagination. And they've created it in a way where they want us to believe that this is Earth, this society is Earth, which really doesn't make sense, because it's like we live on a whole living being. But they limit us to thinking like this is it. And it's just like, how is that even possible? And you see how much they have desensitized us from so much here. Like, I don't even think we know what the earth really truly feels like, because we have all these distractions taking over our senses. They don't want us to connect. They don't want us to connect, because they know if we connect and we're plugged into the real technology and not this fake technology, their system is going to crumble. And to be honest, it already has, because we have been awakening. Okay, you're a Taurus and a Gemini rising. Beautiful. You said my reading was so helpful and made some very true predictions. Thank you. I'm glad it resonated. Definitely check out my website, you guys, cosmicstarrastrology.net. I do astrology and tarot readings, you know, and this is part of my grid worker mission, and some other astrologers too. And I feel like this is why it's important for you to tune into your astrology as well. So this is why astrologers are giving readings and doing readings. It's not in talking about the astrology in general. It's not just we're talking just to talk. Well, at least not me. It's not that it's like talking just to talk. It's because these cosmic beings are providing the energy for us to work with. And the more we're distracted and we're not paying attention, we're missing the energy that's needed to help us activate, to then activate the earth, because the earth's frequency is elevating. And it's going to be more so with this Uranus and Gemini. The earth codes are activating. And earth codes is basically, it's talking about activating higher consciousness and just elevating the frequencies. The new earth codes is about activating the higher consciousness, elevating the frequency of the earth, and transformation, and just overall just tuning into harmony and balance and enlightenment. That's what it is. It's basically the conscious shift. Okay. And I'm reading my notes because this a whole lot. So yeah, you guys, it's time to honor the earth. It's time to honor the earth. I feel like we as the inhabitants, we have been neglectful of Mother Earth, which is messed up because she always takes care of us, She always provides for us without forethought. Even amongst everything that we've been doing, like the earth still provides. So take a minute to think about that, and then here we are, we don't even pour back in to it. We as a society, we have yet to really honor her and take care of her. It's kind of like how you think of like how your mom takes care of you, and when you finally make it, you give back to her. We have not been doing that. We are so advanced, we have so much information, and it's like we have not used that for better things. We use that to keep engaging in the technology, with the media, just engaging with things that aren't necessary for our growth and our ascension. The earth provides us sustenance, the earth provides us nourishment, the earth provides us a container to grow and create. So we really need to honor her. You're going to check out my website. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, one of the main things that Uranus and Gemini is going to do is that it's going to have us break out of the narratives that have been created in this society that have been limiting us and not allowing us the freedoms that we've been looking for, not allowing us the changes, not allowing us the space to create and just be, right? Because Uranus is those, or not Uranus, Gemini highlights the narratives that we've been told, right? The narratives that we live by without any forethought, right? There are a lot of narratives that have been created in this society, narratives surrounding success and relationships, money, all types of things. We're going to be breaking out of that. We're going to be breaking out of that. We're going to be challenging that. So we're going into a time where we're going into a rebellion. Okay. And the rebellion consists of being curious, talking more, learning more, right? And dismantling the narratives, not only the narratives of the society, but the narratives within yourself as well. And that leads me into my next point. You guys don't understand. I got so many downloads with this Uranus and Gemini, and July is just electrifying, literally. So, do you guys have any questions so far before I move into more of the juicy parts of this conversation? No, no questions yet. Well, leave your questions in the chat, and I'll be looking at the chat. But and also, you guys, please feel free to donate anything you like. If you're feeling the chat, leave your donations. You can leave a super chat. It'll be helpful to me and this channel to help grow this channel. So feel free to leave what you like if you're liking this conversation. Haley, you said I started weaving. I also feel connected to spirit and earth. It feels good to create slowly with intention. Yeah, you're a Taurus. So that is your ruling planet, Earth. And a lot of people don't talk about that either. A lot of people don't talk, especially astrologers, and I'm guilty of this too, where we don't talk about Earth being part of the astrological lineup. We just skip over Earth and we go straight to like Venus, Mars, and all of that stuff. And it's just like this Earth is just as important as the other planets too. You know what I'm saying? This is the planet of creativity and manifestation. So it's very important that we tap into the Earth frequencies. I see 6 people. Hey, 6 people. Welcome to the live. Come join the conversation and like this live coming in. So I'm going to continue. So, okay. So now I'm going to move on into more details about Uranus and Gemini, because in the beginning I just gave like a brief overview and intertwine that with the retrogrades, because we have 4 retrogrades happening this month. 4. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is intense. We got Saturn, Neptune, Mercury, and Chiron going retrograde. Okay. Okay. So Uranus in Gemini. Uranus in Gemini is going to be a transit of truth telling, okay? Because Gemini is a sign of communication, okay? And Uranus is the awakener in astrology, okay? The awakener with truth. So people are going to be saying it with their whole chest, and they're going to be speaking the truth and nothing but the truth, okay? At least that's what you should be doing, because speaking truth is an act of rebellion. Speaking up, whether, again, it's things that are going on in this society to help further dismantle this society structure, and also you have Uranus in Capricorn. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, so you're part of the revolution, King, where you're dismantling the structure. That is what the Uranus and Capricorn generation is about, dismantling the structure. Okay? Speaking truth is an act of rebellion. Okay? And when you speak the truth, this is when the changes will activate. Okay? Speaking the truth, whether it's on the media, whether it's people in your personal lives, certain cycles that you've been in with certain people. And that's why I find it very interesting that actually Venus will be in Gemini too this month as well. So you could find that people from both new and old timelines appear this month and going into August as well. So there's going to be a lot of conversations being had. And this is part of the closing out that I've been talking about in my videos with the North Node being in Pisces and how it's a number 9 year and things of that nature. Certain conversations to break certain cycles need to be had. Okay. Um, Lost my train of thought. Hold on. Certain things just need to be said. You guys, I feel like there's still a lot of people that aren't speaking up about things that they should be, whether it's in their personal lives, whether it's in society. There are certain things that are not talked about. There are certain acts of rebellion that aren't being done either, because both cosmically and like realistically, I feel like what's been slowing down the changes is that there are some people in the collective that have still been holding on to certain narratives. They've been finding it very hard to let go. Um, and that's due to Uranus and Taurus. Taurus is a very slow moving kind of sign. So it's been slowing down the transformations, I would say. And that's why I'm excited for Uranus to go into Gemini, because when it goes into Gemini, things are going to speed up. And that's something else that I mentioned too in one of my Instagram stories, is how Uranus and Gemini is going to speed up the manifestations. Time is going to speed up. It's going, like, you're going to have to hold on to something because life is going to be on the move. And if you're not ready to change, you're going to get left behind. You know, if you don't ride the wave of the shift, you're going to get left behind. Okay? So yes, speaking truth is an act of rebellion, and this is a way for you to dismantle certain beliefs and narratives that you've taken on from society, that you've taken on from your family. your lineage and things of that nature. So we're in Cancer season right now, and this is highlighting ancestry. Cancer is a sign of ancestry. And, I encourage you with this Uranus and Gemini to really observe a lot of your family patterns and really just study into your lineage and kind of understand the cycles, the karma, the trauma, all of that stuff is going to be the answers that you need in order to free yourself, because we are in a time of rebellion and freedom, especially when the transit activates. Okay. And it's a lot of mindset stuff, and I feel like it's been like that for a long time, where a lot of the themes of what's been going on in the world lately is highlighting our mental, you know? It's been highlighting our mental, and it's been highlighting our beliefs and our narratives, because honestly, I feel like that is what is still keeping this societal structure going, is our belief in it, our engagement with it, our, the attention that we give to it. So that's why it's important to question things. It's important to really speak the truth on things so things can start dismantling even more. Okay. I feel like once these revelations activate within you, that is when the change starts. And when you change, things outside of you start changing. And you'll see that during this time in July, we're going to be tested. And we're going to be tested through our relationships. And I've been saying that. I've been saying that for a while, where our relationships, they're going to be our tests to see if we're ready to break the cycle. And they're relationships of all kind. Venus highlights relationships of all kind, not just romance. Okay. Do you guys have any questions so far? Any questions so far? How's everybody feeling about this Uranus and Gemini? I know it's going to affect you, Haley, a lot. You're going to definitely feel it because you have a Gemini rising. But don't you have Gemini in your 12th house too? Billy, you said you're ready. I'm ready too. I'm ready too. So, with that being said, with this month being a testing month for us, so be prepared. With this Uranus and Gemini, just like how there's going to be new connections being formed, there's going to be a lot of breakups. A lot of breakups. So be prepared for that. And I know that's something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but because people's values are changing, you know, the world is going through a very intense change during this transit. So if there's a value misalignment, that's a breakup. If we're not on the same timeline, that's a breakup. If we're not vibrating at the same frequency, that's a breakup. So be prepared for that. So this retrograde season is going to actually bring in like a mixture of things where while a lot of new things are starting, a lot of the old stuff is going to come back around and test us to see if we're really ready for the new. We're going to be tested to see if we're really ready for the new. Okay. So yeah. Um so that's Venus in Gemini. So let's talk about the Saturn retrograde. Saturn in Aries will go retrograde. I wrote it down actually. Let's see. I wrote down all the dates. So Saturn goes retrograde July 13th to November 27th. Okay. So this means this retrograde is bringing around the old structures. So certain things from the old structure are going to be surfacing again. Okay. Certain things from the old structure are going to be surfacing for us to address it, fix it, change it. Okay. With Uranus and Gemini, we're going to have the know how to make the necessary changes. Okay. And then we also have Neptune right now in Aries retrograde. It went retrograde on the 4th of July, and it'll be retrograde until December 10th, and it'll move forward in Pisces. So with Neptune retrograde is really going to be testing our faith, our beliefs, the dreams that we have set out for ourselves. And also, especially when Neptune goes retrograde in Pisces, while Uranus is in Gemini, um, it's going to have us. Something that I do like about Uranus and Gemini is that it's going to help us think more clearly. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of clarity. There's going to be a lot of revelations, a lot of new ideas. So if there have been certain decisions that you've been sitting on, but you feel like you haven't had all the information or you haven't been guided to the right idea or feeling that lack of clarity, Uranus and Gemini is going to definitely provide us that clarity. Okay. So we're going to be seeing through more of the illusions of this society while Uranus is in Gemini, especially right now while Neptune is retrograde. Okay. So I wouldn't be surprised if the veil just comes all the way down, all the way down. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. You guys are quiet. What you guys thinking about? You're still drawing, Billy. What are you drawing? What inspired you? during the Sirius portal. Have you guys been getting any like downloads with the Sirius portal? King, you said as a Scorpio rising, I could see with my eyes closed. Interesting. Well, what are you drawing, Billy? I want to know. You're drawing a sad girl. Why is she sad? Does that mean that you're feeling sad, Billy? What's going on? Aw, don't be sad, Billy. It's okay. Hi, Ole. You said your message is so thorough and succinct. There's very little left to get clarity on. You're a good curator. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. I'm just checking in with y'all because I know this is a lot. This was a big download for me. And I'm not gonna lie, I was low key intimidated by my own live stream with this one. I'm like, I hope this like lands and it makes sense, but it seems like it's resonating with you guys and it makes a lot of sense and it's giving you guys a lot to think about. So that's what I wanted. I wanted to come here with a deeper message, you know, because I feel like the last two lives they were kind of light, right? So I wanted to share this message because I feel like it's very important to share because I feel like it's kind of the reality check that we need because I feel like we have been in this space of escapism and kind of just like in this void. I feel at least that's how I've been feeling, especially with all the Pisces energy that has been going on for a while now. It's been making things just feel very like we're just floating and it's just like what's next, you know? And what's next is that we just have to be very honest with ourselves and we have to be honest with what's really going on and the things that we would have to do to have these changes because I feel like that's another thing. I feel we're not on our job, you know, as inhabitants of this earth and we've been slacking because we've been distracted and I feel like there's a lot of work to do and that we should be doing and we're not because it's you know, we're still holding on to this old programming, you know? So I really am looking forward to Uranus and Gemini dismantling that and it really ties into with something that I said in a horoscope that I made. I think it was the 2025 horoscope, and I was talking about Neptune and Aries and how um, the illusions that are surrounded that surround our identity and our just our overall lives and our path, they're going to be falling away, you know? These narratives that were created on how much money you should have, what career that you should have, what makes you successful, things that you should accomplish, and things that make up this fake identity that's not even true to you, that's going to be falling away. And that involves us being very honest with ourselves and those around us and addressing these things head on. And that's when these changes are going to activate within us for real. It'll feel a little radical. It will. But I feel like we have to get to that point. Like, I feel like one of the biggest things is like the rent issue. Why do we have to pay to live here? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why do we have to pay to eat? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why are we being told to go to this establishment that just wants to siphon your energy every day? That doesn't make any sense to me. And it's stuff like that where it's like we need to be honest and we have to think maybe we shouldn't be doing this. But the minute you say something like that, then people jump into fear. Like, oh my God, like, how am I going to do, how am I? And it's like, that's the point. Like, we really don't have to do this. That is just a lie that we've been told. So their programming could continue to be what it is. Paying for clean water is wild. When there are people from other countries getting that shit for free, why are we paying for that? That doesn't make sense. Food, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. I feel like we need to go back to, just exchanging services, exchanging gifts, whatever the case may be, as payment. Like this fake paper money stuff is just wild. And the fact that people have been going crazy over it is just, it's just really quite the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing and focusing on, really. And this is also, and it's like I said, it's not just society, it's also narratives in your own lives. What are certain narratives that you've taken on from your family members? What are cycles that you've been in with certain family members? What are some karmic contracts that you've been in with certain family members that isn't good and that's not allowing you to grow and flourish? And that's just creating burden for you. These are things that we have to address. And I feel like this retrograde, this Mercury and Leo retrograde, there are some conversations that are going to be coming back around to be discussed. So certain things that are necessary to say need to be said. So if you or somebody that you know is in a toxic relationship, Uranus and Gemini is going to be giving you the impetus to have this conversation of like, listen, I'm no longer doing this. And then that right there is breaking the cycle, breaking the narrative. And that's when the change happens. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in the relationship either. That's not the point. The point is This transit is helping us realign. Okay. This is energy realignment. Guys, it's just wild. It's wild what the world has came to, you know? And what other retrograde do we have? We also have Chiron retrograde too. So essentially these retrogrades that are happening, hang on. So essentially these retrogrades that are happening, they're really helping us gain closure. That's it. If there are certain conversations that you didn't get to have, this is your opportunity to have them. If there's certain situations that you need to leave, this is your moment to leave them. You know, this is also a time, retrogrades are also a time of reorganizing, replanning as well. And like I said, with Uranus and Gemini, now we're going to have the know how, and all the pieces are going to start coming together on how to execute things and get things moving. But there's definitely going to be a lot of movement going on collectively, though. And with that being said, that brings me back to what I was saying earlier about how I do see this transit activating more traveling, more people moving, because the earth, it has different energy points, okay? And we, as the inhabitants, we are made up of an energetic mixture that could help heal and activate those different energy points on earth. Okay, that is why it's so important for us to travel. I feel like they kind of made traveling expensive on purpose because they know this. They know traveling helps heal the world. Okay, and it's not just earth. There's other people in parts of the world. There's other people in parts of the world that need your energy. There is other work for you to do in other places. And the this will allow the earth to be in harmony. It can't be in harmony if we're stuck in one place. Okay? So, and this is why I feel like with Uranus and Gemini, I feel like it's really good to get into astrocartography too, because that also gives you insight into certain places where you need to do energy work, not only for yourself, but for that location. And I actually do astrocartography readings if you guys are interested in a astrocartography session. So whether it is that you have to travel, move there, whatever the case may be, you have energy in different places. Okay. There are certain other places that need to be activated. And this will also activate you as well. And that'll help you recode, because that is the whole point of what we're supposed to be doing in this matrix system, especially at this time, is recoding. We have to be recoding. So, how are you guys feeling about the retrogrades? There's a lot of them. And a lot of the retrogrades, they'll last up until like November, most of them. But yeah, you guys, this is a time of reprogramming. That is what this retrograde season is about. It's about replanning, refining, reprogramming, redoing, closing things out before we finally move forward. That's why, like, with these, a lot of the shifts that we've had in these signs, like Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, all of them, it's just been giving us a little teaser. Like 2025 is the little teaser. But then everything goes back into like Taurus, Pisces, because we still have things that we have to close out. And that is the whole point of the retrogrades, helping us do that. Okay. But Cancer season is a very, very pivotal and optimal time. Oh my God, King, you had a stroke? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're still here. That's insane. So yes, Cancer season is a very important time, and it's really important for you to work with ancestors. Okay? This is a very important time to do ancestral work, okay? To really go back and reflect and also actively do the work to recode and reprogram the framework. Okay, that's something else with the matrix. The matrix shows the framework of where things are created from. So, just like the earth has its framework, there's a framework within your family system. Okay, so I feel like the ancestors are really, really stoked right now because this is the moment that they've been waiting for, like for their descendants to push this change forward. So, you know how they've been talking about how we're supposed to break the cycles and all of these things? This is this moment. The time is now. Do you guys have any questions about the retrograde or anything at all before I continue? The gist of what, Billy? What do you need clarification on, Billy? Let me know. Um, the retrograde, like all of them, or just like a specific one that you have questions on? Oh, I didn't even talk about Chiron. Now, the Chiron retrograde is going to be happening in Aries. So that retrograde is going to happen at the end of the month. And what Chiron retrograde is bringing up is those wounds about self. What is your personal traumas, your fears, whatever wounds that you're still working through and healing? Those things are going to be coming up for review. So if you feel like you're a little triggered, especially about things from the past surfacing, you could feel a little triggered around this time about things from the past, like certain things that happened to you, certain wounds that were inflicted on you during this Chiron retrograde, which is going to be up until, Chiron actually will be retrograde up until January 2nd, 2026. So you have the rest of this year to work through any past wounds before we officially move into the number 1 year. And the number 1 year is a year of new beginnings. You really said, oh Lord. Yeah. Yeah. The number 1 year is a year of new beginnings. Number 1 year is that go time year. "2026 is go time." Okay? But that's really all Chiron retrograde is about. It's about just old wounds resurfacing and you just addressing these things. So look at where Chiron is happening for you in your chart, wherever Aries is in your chart. Up until January 2nd, you're going to be working through this area. Yeah. So this is a very deep time, you guys. The age of Aquarius. Billy, you have Aries in your first house. So that means the retrograde in Chiron, you're basically really reflecting on and working through past wounds about yourself, your body, your path in life. The first house is also your life path, too. It's part of it. But mainly it's about yourself, how you express yourself, how you show up in the world, your perception, your image. So that means that Neptune should be in your first house, right, Billy? Or do you have Aries in your 12th house? You have Pisces in your 12th? Okay. Yeah, so that means Neptune and Aries. So yeah, you're going to find that this feels very personal to you, where a lot of illusions or things that you thought made you who you are is really not what you think it is. So you're one of the ones where I was talking about how certain illusions are going to fall away from your identity. I feel like Aries rising people, they're going to feel that the most, where a lot of a lot of things that were put on them and things that shape their identity that really weren't in alignment with their true selves and their path, and that's going to fall away. So you could feel a little sensitive around this time, Billy. So yeah, you guys, we're breaking through the pattern. We're in the age of Aquarius. Pluto is still in Aquarius. We have a long way to go with Pluto and Aquarius. And something to note about Aquarius is that Aquarius is the sign that not only is it linked to timelines, it's also linked to patterns as well. This is why the Aquarius symbol looks like a little pattern. And what this symbolizes, especially that Pluto is in Aquarius, is that we're breaking patterns. We're breaking out of patterns. We're destroying, we're dismantling the patterns. And the patterns are those narratives, the belief systems, certain values that we've had, whatever subconscious patterns that you have personally, we're breaking those cycles and we're healing. We're healing and we're shifting and we're changing. Hi, Light. Welcome to the chat. Give this live stream a like if you haven't already. We're talking about the July forecast. We're talking about astrology. We're talking about Uranus and Gemini and the retrogrades. We're talking about Earth technology and things. Well, at least I talked about that in the beginning. I've actually never seen you before. Thank you. Thank you for the likes. So, Uranus in Gemini is going to be. Oh, yes. Okay. You did tell me. Hello. Thank you for joining. And you did say you had some questions for me. So leave your questions in the chat and I'll answer. But Uranus in Gemini is going to be the activator of the new Earth codes. I've been talking about new Earth codes for Light. I know you just entered, but Uranus in Gemini is going to be activating the new Earth codes. Okay. So it's going to put us back into unity with the earth. It's going to be elevating our consciousness. It's going to have us syncing with nature. We're going to be very tuned in with the earth. And when we're tuned in with the earth, that's how we know what it needs. Because it's like the earth has been trying to get our attention for a minute now. This is why all these natural disasters have been happening, all types of stuff, because the earth is just acting out right now. She needs our attention, she needs our care. And the longer we stay distracted and investing our energy into this program, the more worse things are going to get. Do I have any things that we should be looking out for with Uranus and Gemini? So, um, like good things or bad things? Good things or bad things? Good things, there's going to be a lot of new inventions, a lot of things related to transportation, communication is going to be on the forefront and changing as well. Bad things, I mean, I know that a lot of people have been talking about the past few civil wars being linked to Uranus and Gemini. I'm not giving into it. I think it's just fear mongering, in my opinion. But I do feel like there's going to be like a big revolution. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily like war as we know it. I don't even feel like Uranus and Gemini is going to be a bad thing, really. I don't really sense anything bad with Uranus and Gemini. I feel like it's going to be what we've been needing for a very long time. We've been needing these changes. Yeah, the civil wars have been linked to Uranus and Gemini, and that's because it's like a clash on like perspectives. You know, one side thinks one thing, the other side thinks another thing, and it creates this rebellion, where everybody's like fighting for their opinion or their perspective on stuff. So it makes sense, especially because we're at a very critical time in a really big breakthrough that we're making through collectively that's really going to shift the paradigm of reality. So, but I feel like even on a minor scale, even on a minor scale, we've been at war because it's just like we've been exactly light and darkness. Yeah, we've been at war because it's like, I mean, look at the media, look at just things that are going on online. People are just so argumentative. Look at the protests and all of these things. So, so yeah, Uranus and Gemini is gonna have us breaking through some really, really, really big things that have been long standing. That it's like, okay, now it's time for the change. Okay, so there's been talk about the matrix is crumbling. No, the society is crumbling. The Earth's matrix is reactivating. That is what's happening. It's reloading, it's being recoded, and it's activating. The made up society is crumbling. Thank goodness. Really. And as we activate ourselves, this will allow the earth to also activate and make its changes as well. So be prepared. Like the earth's frequency is going to be increasing. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I do feel that with the earth's frequency increasing, that's going to mean that there's going to be a lot of people that won't be able to handle the increase. And I feel like that is what happened during the pandemic time, because during that time we went through a big shift as well. And as you can see, a lot of people got wiped out. I felt like that was symbolic for the Earth's frequency was shifting and it was increasing. And those people, they couldn't handle the shift. So that's why it's important to keep up, stay open, stay flexible. How you guys feeling so far? What you guys thinking? If you guys hear kids playing outside, that's the neighbors. They're playing. I just hope their football doesn't hit the window. That's happened like a couple times and it literally scares me. So if I jump, that's why. Because sometimes they're like playing and then out of nowhere, like the football just flies on the window and it's like, oh my goodness. So what is everybody's thoughts on Uranus and Gemini? These are my thoughts, but I just want to know, what are you guys thinking? Light, you said any thoughts on Saturn in Aries in general, or you want to know about the retrograde? Thank you, King. Saturn, Saturn and Aries in general. Are you having your Saturn return? Because you put Saturn return, or you meant Saturn and Aries. Saturn and Aries, to me, on a personal level, I feel like Saturn and Aries. Oh, you're having your Saturn return in Aries. Nice. So, Saturn return in Aries, like this is your time to really get clear on yourself and really have like a solid plan for yourself and your path. Um, and this is also going to help you commit to something about yourself. And it really just depends on where Saturn and Aries is for you. So I kind of would want to know what the house is because I could give you deeper insight into that. But um, okay, so Saturn and Aries in the fifth house. I feel like this is an interesting one. So you could find that Saturn is bringing into focus things surrounding your self expression, um, your childhood. Something that a lot of people don't know about the fifth house is that it is linked to your childhood. Sorry, you guys. If you guys hear, like, my neighbors are so loud, and I just wish they weren't outside. But um, Saturn and Aries in your fifth house is actually helping you if there's like some creative things that you've been wanting to do, especially if you want to like monetize it. Saturn and Aries is going to help you do that. Saturn and Aries is going to help you be more authentic, be true to yourself. So you could find that you're, because this is about the self. Aries is about the self. So you may want to recreate yourself, create a new identity, express yourself differently. Yeah, and then Saturn and Aries too, it could highlight themes of your childhood. So certain fears that you had when you were a child, whether it's about your confidence, the way you express yourself, or just who you are, you could find that these things come up for you to actively work through, especially while Chiron is retrograde in Aries. And I assume that it's in your fifth house too. Hi, Dave. Welcome. You missed a lot of it. I talked about the Earth's matrix and I talked about Uranus. You're welcome, Light. I hope that was helpful for you. Also, I do astrology readings, but you follow me on Instagram, so I'm pretty sure you know that. But if you're interested in a reading, I have two kinds. I have the full version, but I also offer mini readings. So if you're on a budget, I do offer mini readings, but the mini readings, they only focus on one specific part. It's not the whole chart. So, yeah, Dave, we were talking about Uranus and Gemini and how it's going to be activating the US, the United States sixth house, and all of these things, about like the technology of the earth. The earth is a very magical place, you guys, and a lot of people wouldn't think so because it just seems so mundane, especially the way society has had us living in a way where we wouldn't guess that the earth has all this magic and it's really this advanced, but it really is. The earth holds the original technology, you know? The earth is super powerful. And I wanted to talk about too, because you know how I was talking about how the earth has chakras? Like there are certain locations where you could find them. So if you ever want to travel there, you could help activate the earth chakras. So I'll like name a couple just so you guys could see. So, like for instance, like Earth's solar plexus is in England. Earth's heart chakra is in Egypt and parts of Israel. Earth's throat chakra is in Afghanistan and Iran. And then Earth's third eye is in Pakistan, and Earth's crown chakra is in Tibet. Tibet makes a lot of sense. It's a very spiritual place. It's where people typically go to for like retreats and things of that nature. So to really tune into themselves on a very deep level. So I thought that was pretty cool when I researched that. And that's why and you could see this in the playback, Dave, that Uranus and Gemini is going to encourage us to move around more and travel. And even if you guys don't travel, even though I would still encourage you guys to, you could activate and recode even within your local environment. And that just starts by just going outside and interacting. That's what we're supposed to do. Gemini is a sign of connections, making those connections. Uranus is a planet of groups, friendship. So we're supposed to be collaborating. We're supposed to be working together. You know, we're supposed to be activating each other. And how we do that is we share each other's gifts with each other. That's how we activate each other. So it doesn't have to be that you go to a different country or a different city. You could do earth recoding right here in your local environment. Because when we're activating each other, it just spreads, it just moves around, and this is what will get the earth's frequency balanced out. And I feel like this goes back to what I was talking about earlier about reflecting on the 90s and the 80s and things of that nature. This is why these eras were so dynamic and powerful. It's because they didn't have all these distractions like that, really. Everybody was outside interacting, everybody was in tune with their creativity. We're too desensitized and our attention is just locked into things that doesn't allow us to tune into ourselves and tune into each other and work together, because it's really going to take all of us to see the change, to see these big changes. That's it. That's what's been holding us back. The fact that we're not coming together and we're all actively on the same accord. That's why. It is very much so astrocartography, Dave. And like I was saying earlier in the live, I would recommend that people get into astrocartography because, like I was saying, you have energetic lines in different places. So you're not meant to be staying in one place. Why do you think our ancestors would move around a lot? Because there's work to do and things to experience, lessons to learn in different places. There are different opportunities for you in different places. If you want to find love, if you want a certain business connection, sometimes you got to move. Sometimes you got to travel to that place. Hi, Davu. Is that how you say your name? Let me know if I'm saying it right. Welcome to the chat. And like this live, if you're new to the chat, it looks like you are. I've never seen you. I didn't see you the last couple times. But please give this live alike. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's important because the earth needs our energy in different places. And Gemini is going to be leading by example on this because Gemini, just like Sagittarius, is a traveler. They inherently understand this. They are grid workers. We all are, but Gemini and Sagittarius, they do this the most because they're the signs of travel. So they understand that their energy is needed in other places, not just where they live. But this is a narrative that they've created in this society, is that you have to settle down, you have to buy a home, you have to stay in this place for 50 years. And like, that's just not what we're supposed to be doing. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. So I feel like on purpose, they've made everything so expensive so we could just be stuck. But this is where we have to get crafty. And Uranus and Gemini is going to help us really think outside the box, like, okay, how can I do more of these things? Right? Oh, thank you, Davu. Thank you. I appreciate that. Have you been watching me for a long time? Are you new to my mystic community? I don't even know what to call you guys. Am I even big enough to even make a community? You know, like people have like their tribe name. Like I don't even know. What do you guys want to be called? The Mystic Tribe? Let me know in the chat. The Star Tribe? I don't know. I would have to think about that. Literally. Light said you're gonna have to come up with something. It's only right. Okay. I will think. I will think on it. But the Star Tribe does sound cool though. Billy said the Mystic Mayhems. Sounds wild. Mystic Warriors. I love that. Because I am a warrior goddess. So yes. I like that. I will definitely reflect on all of this. And then the next time I come on, I'm going to tell you guys what I thought about. I'm going to tell you guys the official name. But I like the idea of warriors though. And I feel like we are in the time where we need to activate the warrior energy, our ancestors. The ancestors have been coming through strong for me. You know, they've been giving me all these downloads. That's why I'm just like, oh my God, this is a whole lot. But it's like they gave me this to be a channel to deliver this to the masses, no matter how big or small the viewership is. Like, it's important that you guys hear this and then you guys pass it along. But I feel like the whole basis of that this live is to remind us of how intelligent we are, how powerful we are, how intelligent this earth is, and how magical it is, and how the energy is here for us to utilize. And utilize with respect, of course, because it's been utilized, but I feel like the earth has been exploited by the powers that shouldn't be. Okay? We have to protect the earth's frequencies. It's more than just recycling, it's more than just not littering. It's we have to take care of the earth and its frequencies. We need to collectively, we have to reprogram things and heal things on earth, because the earth is hurting right now. And we have to collectively come together to do this and make these changes. And I'll shout out my culture. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Haitian. And whenever I say this, I always think of the Haitian people and how they won the revolution is because they all came together. Because there's power in numbers. And that is what America is getting wrong. Because the narrative has been separateness. Because they know when we come together, we're more powerful. They know when we come together, we could overthrow them. They know this. This is why they've created these tactics to keep us separated. So, in order for us to win this war that we're quote unquote in or going into, we have to come together collectively. We have to work together. We have to collaborate. We have to put our powers together so we could win the war. So the changes can happen. So if we have to all collectively stop paying rent, let's stop paying rent, y'all. For real. And I know that sounds radical to some people, but I feel like it's going to have to get to that point because they're just going to keep elevating the prices. So it's like, what are we going to like kill ourselves to like pay for this stuff? That doesn't make no. Something has to give. And if that means that we have to be radical and just dismantle the whole thing together, then that's just what we're going to have to do. And these are the conversations that I'm talking about. And I've heard people here and there talk about this, but I feel like more of us need to get on board with it to actually see the change, because that is how things are going to change. If we're affecting their pockets, that is how things change. But if we keep giving into their tactics, we keep just kind of succumbing to what it is that they want, they're just going to continue to just do whatever they want. Something that I feel like with 2020, I felt like that was another test because, and I hope I don't offend anybody, but I feel like they were testing us to see how dumb we are. Like, I'm so serious. Like, are they really going to believe this? They're always testing us to see. They're always doing stuff to test us to see, are they going to fall for it? They even know their own stuff is cap. Like, but they're just trying to see, like, do we know? And it's like we've proven to them time and time again that we don't see it. This is why we've been eluded for so long. We've been under their spell. And I feel like this is the beauty of like all the Pisces energy coming through, and how this veil that people have been talking about, that's exactly it. The veil is the lies and the narratives that they've been telling us, the media, everything. All of that is just lies to just play on our subconscious, to play on our minds. Really, I feel like this war is on our minds, on our attention. That's what it is. I don't feel like it's a actual war, because if that was the case, it would have been done. I feel like those times with the Civil War, I feel like they were different times to where if an actual war broke out, you have to understand, like, there were different transits. It was a different time. I feel like this era that we're in is really all about the mind. it's a war on the mind. They're trying to keep hold of our attention, our mind. The more we're locked into this, the more control that they have, and they're going to remain in control. Light, you said, how long is the Uranus transit? So Uranus stays in a sign for 7 years, but Uranus in Gemini will be there, or Uranus will be in Gemini up until November 7th. And then November 7th is going to go back into Taurus, the end degree of Taurus. So that's why I was saying earlier in the beginning of the live, like between now and like up until September 6th, while Uranus is direct, this is our moment to make whatever changes that we need to make. While things are direct and not retrograde. Not saying that Uranus and Gemini retrograde isn't going to be as powerful, but when it's retrograde, it's more so working with the internal changes. So still just as significant, but if you want to see external change, take advantage of this transit while it's direct. While Mars is direct. Right now, Mars is in Virgo. It goes into Libra August 6th. Davu, you said you're about to hustle. Yeah, because Uranus and Taurus has been slowing down the ability to manifest and change. So if you've been wondering why things feel like they still haven't changed, that's because of the Uranus and Taurus. It's just been slowing things down. But once Uranus goes into Gemini, you're going to see a shift in speed in the collective. Like things are going to move very fast. Okay. So we need to tap into the rebellious energies. And this is going to ruffle some feathers, but this is what we need to do. So speaking truth is a form of rebellion, curiosity is a form of rebellion, doing more, taking more action on things, especially a lot of the new innovative ideas, that's rebellion right there because we're pushing past the status quo. Davu, thank you. Any thoughts on sidereal or Vedic? Um, I don't use Vedic. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but I just haven't studied too much into it because it's not what I work with in my work. But I'll pop into it from time to time. I mean, if we're talking about sidereal, then technically on their for from their perspective, they would still see pretty much Uranus still being in Taurus because sidereal it always works like with the sign previous. Like I said, maybe I'll give you a Vedic reading. So yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of time traveling with these retrogrades happening. A lot of time traveling to the future, a lot of time traveling to the past to like have that closure. So we're going to be working during this Uranus and Gemini. The Uranus and Gemini is going to have us moving on the move. Hmm. I gotta, speaking of the sun too, because I know earlier I was talking about how the sun powers the earth and how the sun is part of the earth's electrical system. Something else that I got a download on too about the sun and how it interacts with the earth. Because the sun in astrology, it symbolizes the focus. It shows the focus, what you're focused on. So I feel like every month when the sun travels, it shows the focus that the earth is on, like whatever aspect of itself it's focused on healing and working with. So right now it's Cancer season. So right now the earth is focusing on nourishment, healing itself in some way, shape, or form. So grid workers that are water signs. So if your earth sign is a water sign, this is your time to really utilize your healing to help. Do you guys have any questions? Oh, Billy, if you're still in the chat, I wanted to tell you that I did the Virgo moon video yesterday. I just have to edit it. Davu, you said, my question is why you are such amazing. Why am I such a amazing astrologer? I I blame that on my ancestors. They gave me the gift. I'm just the messenger. That's it. All of this information I'm telling you guys, I'm just the messenger. Billy, you said your body is ready for that video. Oh my goodness. Who else? Does anybody have a Virgo moon in here? Because I got a Virgo moon video coming to the channel. Yeah. So this month is going to be a whole lot of work to do, a lot of spiritual work, especially in the month of July with these retrogrades. I feel like they're right on time because it's going to have us do like that deep reflection. You know, Saturn retrograde in Aries is going to have us address our fears and our limitations. Neptune is going to have us address our relationship to faith and actualizing our dreams, seeing through illusions. And that really coincides with the Saturn because your fears are an illusion. Mercury retrograde in Leo is going to have us having certain conversations where the lion is going to come out, because the retrograde is going to be happening in Leo. So all the retrogrades are going to be in fire. So it's going to have us working on our confidence, whether it's our confidence, just our confidence in ourselves. So breaking through fears and limitations within ourselves, just seeing ourselves clearly, helping us think boldly, speak boldly, and overcome our wounds as well, because we got the Chiron retrograde in Aries. So these retrogrades are going to have us making some bold moves. So Davu and Light, since you guys came later on in the live stream, how are you guys feeling about the retrogrades, Uranus and Gemini, and just overall the whole month of July? How are you guys feeling? Thank you guys for the likes. I appreciate you guys. Light, you said it's some BS. Why? You're welcome. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, I feel like I got everything. Light, you said too many things that pull you in different directions. Like what? Like what's going on? Davu, you said about what about Taurus moon? What about Taurus moon? Like what do you mean? Please elaborate so I can tell you. You want to know how to connect with your Taurus moon? You need to connect with the earth. You're definitely somebody where connecting with the earth is essential to your needs, really. You need to ground more, you need to be in nature. And you also, you need to co create with the earth. You need to actively do that more. You said we'll save that for another time. Okay. Or understand it, yes. And that's what this live is about. It's about understanding Earth and Earth's technology. And it's simply just understanding Earth's energy and where to find it and how to connect with it. I feel like there's too much focus on this technology that we have here, taking us away from what we already have within us already. I don't know why people are so excited about AI, because it's like, have you guys ever stopped to think like we are the AI? You guys ever thought about that? Like, we're already the AI, we are already the intelligence, except we're not artificial, we're real, we're original, we're the blueprint. And I feel like that's another thing that they've been doing. They've been creating all this technology, so we're not connecting to the original technology because they don't want us to have access, especially the more and more Earth increases its power. They don't want us to have access to that. Davu, yes, you're definitely supposed to be working with crystals. That comes from the earth. Yeah, you're definitely supposed to be working with crystals. Billy, you said we literally are AI, as in, as AI can't function without. Yeah, we are. You ever stop to think that? Like, and it's just like, it's crazy because how we don't realize how superhuman we are, especially once we really tap into our gifts. You ever thought, like, maybe, like, you ever thought what animals think of us? They probably think we're AI. I mean, we pretty much do everything that they say AI would do for us. Like, we give them food, we give them baths, we take them for walks. If you have pets, you don't think that they think that we're AI? We already have it within us, you guys. Like, all of this stuff that they're creating and pushing in the media is all distraction. That's all it is. We have the power inside. Period. 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 So I wanted to talk about the full moon real quick before I wrap up because I said all my points. And you guys, you know what? I thought this video would be like, this live would be like a whole lot. It was actually very easy for me to get through. I was so nervous about this live stream. I don't know why. But so the full moon, actually I wrote down the aspects here. Yeah. So on we have a full moon on the 10th, and the full moon will be in Capricorn. So I feel like it's bringing a lot of closure and culmination, okay? Because that's the full moon, but also Capricorn is that too. Capricorn is a sign of success and accomplishment. So since the since the last new moon in Capricorn, and I would say more recently since the last new moon, which was in Cancer, um, really think about what you've been working on, and just be prepared that on the 10th it's going to come to a head and it's going to culminate. So I will say the aspects, we had a mixture of aspects. So it's going to sextile the North Node in Pisces, and it's going to square Chiron in Aries, and the full moon is also going to trine Mars in Virgo. Okay. So this is like a faded full moon where I feel like something is going to transpire around this full moon that's really going to push us forward into the next chapter. So there's something that is completing, something that we've been actively working on, something that we've been actively working through is going to be completing, but that, and it's going to push us forward because the North Node is about the future. So it's bringing us more into the future. So, really, you guys, I would say definitely take advantage of this earth energy because literally there's pretty much no earth energy. As far as the outer planets go, there's no earth energy, especially once Uranus goes into Gemini. There's no earth energy, and even like going forward in the years to come with these energies, there's going to be no earth energy, not unless we're in an earth month or there happens to be like an inner planet transiting in an earth sign, but that's only for a short amount of time. So definitely utilize those moments where there is earth to help you build and manifest. Especially while Mars is in Virgo. Mars will be in Virgo until August 6th, and then Mars will go into Libra. Do you guys have any questions for me? Any video requests, anything? You know, I also pulled out my tarot cards too, just in case you guys wanted me to do like a collective reading on like Uranus and Gemini. Let me know if you guys want that. I could do that real quick before I wrap up. Let me know in the chat. Pluto opposed Sun. Is this in your chart, or you mean like Pluto is transiting your Sun? Pluto opposed Sun. I feel like wherever your Pluto is, I feel like it's the stronger force over your Sun sign. It really just depends on what your Sun is. It's a very polarizing aspect to have, actually. Oh, you would want like a video on it. I could do that. Oh, yeah, Pluto in the first. Wow. I meet a lot of people with Pluto in the first. Super powerful. Super powerful. Oh, light, you have Pluto in the first too. Yeah, that's a super powerful placement. Pluto in the first, people, they're very magnetic. They're very, they could be very intimidating. I mean, you guys don't intimidate me because I can relate to your energy because I have Saturn in the first. So it's very similar. So it's like I recognize the power and I admire it. I love it. You could with Pluto with Pluto in the first, you could have anybody bend at your will. Davu, you said that we trust you. Okay, so I got Pluto opposed Sun. Video to do. Does anybody else have a video request? Davu, you said you can't get people to leave you alone with the Pluto in the first. I'm telling you, like, you attract people like bees on honey. Like, they're just all over you. That's a very powerful placement to be very influential. Davu, you said a Pluto in the first house video would be awesome. You know, actually, I did one sort of. I did Pluto through houses 1 to 3, but in one video. I didn't do like a separate video. Maybe I could do another video with just Pluto in the first. Because actually, somebody commented on that video because it did very well. And they were like, I feel like Pluto in the first deserved its own video. So you're actually not the first person to ask. Davu, you have a Scorpio rising? I meet so many Scorpio risings. What y'all want from me? I meet so many Scorpio risings. I just attract Scorpio energy in general. Maybe it's because I'm Plutonian. And it's like, y'all be all over me. Y'all be obsessed. You guys be obsessed. Davu said, we think you cool. Oh man, that is so funny. Do you guys, um, I'll ask again, do you guys want me to do like a reading on Uranus and Gemini before I wrap up? Davu, you said it's that energy. It's that energy, it's that power. Pluto power is nothing to play with at all. King, you said I have Persephone vibes. Well, I am a Virgo. I feel like Virgo is Persephone. So I could see how you see that. You know, I got an archetype reading like a long time ago from a friend of mine, and she said that was one of my archetypes, actually. That means I look innocent. I'm not innocent. I would say I'm not as much in that archetype these days, the older that I got. Okay, so let's do a quick little tarot pull, especially before it gets dark. Especially because it's gonna get dark. Okay. So let's see. I'll probably pull like 3. Let's see what's going on with this Uranus and Gemini for the collective. I think I'm gonna do an official reading on my Instagram page, so stay tuned for that. Okay, we got the Knight of Swords. And I got this last time I shared the reading with you guys, like a collective reading, the last live. So with the Knight of Swords, you could expect with Uranus and Gemini unexpected conversations happening, unexpected ideas. This Uranus and Gemini, it's going to spark us into action. So a lot of inspired action is going to be taken, a lot of bold movement. Um, I will say the most out of anything, I feel like there could be some disruptive arguments because the Knight of Swords, this person, he's very aggressive in his communication. So really expect that people just kind of being aggressive with their communication, very forward, very honest. So let's see. Ace of Pentacles. So money, 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 money. So I feel like this Uranus and Gemini, it's really going to invent new ways to make money. So there's going to be a lot of creative ideas bursting through. And these ideas can help us find new ways to make money, especially because, like I was saying earlier, for those who missed it, Uranus and Gemini is going to be transiting the United States sixth house. So, what's going to happen is that more people are going to be resigning and finding new ways to make money. Okay. We got the Justice card. Okay. Like I said, I do feel with Uranus and Gemini, it's going to have us traveling into past timelines. Or you could find that people from past timelines show up. And this is to balance things out. This is to get the closure. This is the closure that I was talking about. So I feel like if somebody from your past have done you wrong, there's going to be justice. Consequences are going to be showing up. And I feel like it's a result of the retrogrades too. Things kind of coming back around to be dealt with. And then at the bottom, we do have the Gemini card itself, the Magician. So, Spirit is reminding us to really utilize all the gifts, all the tools that we have to our benefit. Okay, it's all within us. Like we were saying earlier, we have everything within us to create the life that we want. And that's what this transit is about. It's about creating the reality that we want and remembering that is what the earth has provided us the resources with to do. The matrix isn't about slavery, control. The matrix is about understanding the framework and understanding how to work with it consciously, understanding how to move with it. You have to remember the earth is an abundant energy. The earth represents abundance, beauty, pleasure. We're supposed to enjoy ourselves here. So if the earth represents that, why wouldn't we be living like that? You know what I'm saying? So I have some homework for you guys. And one of the biggest things that I want you guys to reflect on is how can you tap into your mission on this earth and really tuning into your gifts, and how can each and every day you apply that into your daily life amongst others. I challenge you guys to really work together with others. You were like, I was just thinking about that. Yeah, we have to get back out and collaborate and work together. And we have to start doing our mission. We have to start doing our divine mission, our divine purpose. You didn't come here to just work every day and pay rent and to just struggle. Like, that's not what we came here to do. We came here to create, we came here to enjoy the earth, and we also came here to experience and learn. Okay? That's another thing with Uranus and Gemini. It's going to help us learn. So, learning more about the earth, learning more about ourselves, especially our divine technology that we have within ourselves. So study your astrology more, study your human design, study the chakras and things of that nature. This is why I'm here. I do astrology readings. So if you need help and guidance understanding your astrology, book a reading with me. Book a reading with me. I have both full sessions and I have mini readings. For those of you who are on a budget, you can find those on my Etsy shop. My Etsy shop is Cosmic Star Astrology, and my website is cosmicstar.astrology.net. And I do pre-recorded readings and I do one-on-one sessions, so you can work with me live with astrology. I have different astrology readings. I have astrocartography, I have birth chart, I do tarot readings. This is the time to really look into this and understand your unique coding, because everything has its own matrix and its own personal coding. Even you do. Thank you, Davu. Okay, so we need to actively recode together, you guys. That is our job. This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is our real jobs. We're supposed to be recoding the earth and creating. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And working on ourselves and what our ancestors asked us to come here and do. Yeah, I do. And I feel like this is a perfect time to get an astrocartography reading, actually. So that is my homework for you guys, to really tune in to your gifts and really tune into how can you contribute to the world at large with your personal gift. Because we all have to, this is Aquarius right here. Collective collaboration. That's Aquarius. Okay. Do you guys have any questions before I go? Because I'm losing light. Any video requests, anything that you need me to know. I also meant to ask you guys, I know you guys told me last time that um, for live streams, weekends work best for you, but what time works best for you guys? What time is best for you? When am I doing the next live? Davu, you said 5 p.m. works good. I don't know if Light is still in the building. King, Billy, what time should I go live? Is this good? I've been trying like different times because I'm trying to see what works best with you guys. And I forgot to ask that the last live. Dave, you said 5. Okay. Light, you said 3 p.m. would work. I've done a 3 p.m. before. Okay. Dave, you said everyone thinks you're cool and an amazing astrologer. Thank you. Thank you. I love coming on here and talking to you guys and sharing my knowledge that I get. My goal is to make an impact with my knowledge in some way, just plant the seed. So I hope that you've gained a lot of insight from this specific live stream, and I gave you guys a lot of information to think about. I know this live it felt a little bit heavier because I know my last two lives were like lighter, but I wanted to come on here and really um, show you guys that I'm not a surface level astrologer. That's A. And then B, I just really wanted to give something thought provoking, something very deep, because I felt like this is something that needs to be talked about. Billy, you said between 3 and 5. Okay, so these times are good. Dahu, you said you about that astrology live. I'm glad I could help you, and I hope that you do book with me. I would love to work with you. Be sure to check out my website and my Etsy shop, because I also have readings on my Etsy shop that are, just little mini readings, but I tried to work with everybody's budget. So you're on my website. Yay. Well, I hope that you book something so we could work together. But yeah, you guys, that is all I have for this live stream. I hope you guys found this insightful. Um, and to answer your question, the next live, um, I do actually have another live coming, and I actually will have a special guest. Actually, I'm not telling you who. I'm going to let that be a surprise, but I will be going live this upcoming Friday. And it'll be a little bit during the day, probably around like 3 or so. I still am confirming the time, but I'm going to have a special guest. So, Billy, it's definitely not going to be Beyonce, but it's somebody that you guys most likely have heard of before, but I'm going to be mysterious like I always am, and I'm going to just keep y'all guessing. And when you guys see the flyer, you'll know. Yes. All right, you guys. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for liking the live and listening to me and holding space for this information to come through, because this was a lot for me. But I'm happy that I got this message out there. So I hope that it reaches somebody. And please share this live so for people who didn't get to attend, they could watch the playback. I'll be working on timestamps for the live tomorrow. So that will be up. And yeah, be sure to check out my website, cosmicstartastrology.net. and book a reading with me. I would love to work with you. And yeah, I hope you guys have a blessed July. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys. Bye, boo.